Perfect. So, good to see you guys. It's good to see that there's so many of you on at the moment. That's great. So I'll just introduce myself. My name's Rory. I'm the MedSoc secretary for this year. I'm one of the fourth year medics. What I'm going to do now is just introduce your speakers who are going to be talking to you tonight and taking you through the PowerPoint. So I'll start off by introducing you to Hajin Do. So Hajin is our president. He's a fourth year medical student that's going to go into his first rotation on obs and gynae. Alongside him, we've got our other president, Alex Ainger. Alex is a third year medic. He's going to start on endo this year. So those two are going to take you through most of the webinar today. Alongside them, we've got Dylan and Tess. Dylan and Tess are our social secretaries. They're both in second year. Dylan's going to start on cardio in the coming weeks, and Tess will be on her rest placement. So these are going to be your speakers through tonight, and we'll hopefully answer all your questions. So before I hand over to them, I'll just give you an update as to how things will work. So this is a Zoom webinar. So the level of interaction and involvement is completely up to you. You can get involved as much or as little as you like. You can feel free to anonymise yourself by changing your names. It means that your names won't come up in the Q&A or the chat, but you don't have to. So you can write any questions that you have in the Q&A section, which should be at the bottom of your screen. We'll either answer these questions as the talk's going on, so I'll be in the back of the webinar just sort of answering questions, or in the intervals throughout the webinar, we'll get Haj or Alex or our social secretaries to answer them live. It's over speaker. The Instagram questions that we've had, there's loads of them, so we hope to cover them throughout the PowerPoint, but if not, we'll answer them all at the end. You can also feel free to use the chat function to chat with your course mates. So I'll just hand over to Haj and Alex. Are you there, boys?
Yep. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sounds good. So it's all on you.
All right. Hi guys. My name's Hajin. Next to me is Alex. Rory's obviously introduced us, and we're just going to go through pretty much your entire life as a medical student here, along with Norwich and a couple of other bits and bobs, which hopefully will be helpful. So yeah. So without further ado, we're going to just move on to slides. Yeah, we're a bit primitive with this kind of stuff as well. So yeah, so that's the plan. So I'm going to start by talking a bit about who we are and what MedSoc do. We're going to give you an update as to what we know and what we've planned so far in terms of Welcome Week. So that's Freshers Week, basically. I'm sure a lot of you are very curious about what's happening there. And also our Refreshers Week, which we're also working towards. We don't know when that's going to be, but we'll let you know what sort of things we have planned out so far. I'm sure you're also curious about, oh, well, no, sorry, go back. Yeah, we've got some information about campus. So we've got the SU buildings, we've got the library, we've also got the BCRE, which is one of the main buildings you'll hopefully have lectures at, unless they're online as well, and some information about hospitals, a bit about your accommodation, some things about your course and your placement, and then, as I said earlier, we're going to talk a bit about Norwich City Centre and end it off with memberships and talk about other societies and sports clubs you can join. So that's the breakdown for today. Yeah, moving on. Sorry. Oh dear me. Sorry, we're really stupid. Okay, so who are we? Well, MedSoc. We're actually the largest society by member count at the University of East Anglia, which is something we're quite proud to say. And the second largest society at UEA is actually the Surgical Society. So, and we directly endorse them and help them out, which is quite funny actually. But yeah, we have over 600, 700 members. Pretty much every medical student is a MedSoc member. And we do a whole plethora of different things. So we've outlined it as socials, charity, education, a lot of support for you guys, equality and diversity, and obviously building a really big community. So just outlining some of the socials that we do. We host a Medic Freshers Week that is separate to the normal Freshers Week that UEA host. So pictured on the right there is one of our events that we host called the White T-shirt Crawl, which is usually the first night that you guys get here. Obviously pre-COVID, so that's unfortunately not going to happen soon, but we plan to do that during refreshers. We also host other socials throughout the term, like balls, cocktail parties, Christmas socials, Easter socials, pub crawls, bar crawls, and also some non-alcoholic ones as well, because we need to cater for everyone. In terms of our charity, we raised thousands and thousands of pounds for charity. Last year, we raised over £3,000 for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. And we've done lots of social events which are linked to charity as well, so things like MRAG Week. We've also hosted something called Jailbreak, which is basically you have to go as far away from Norwich as you can without spending a penny. So that's something that a lot of freshers are very interested in, so you got that to look forward to. Equality and diversity is very important for us. We're talking to the medical school, and we liaise with the medical school very close with them, and we talk about things, issues, addressing certain issues. And also we offer a lot of support for you guys as well, all sorts of financial support, pastoral support as well, and also with the educational support. So we have lots of past tests, so past tests basically like revision materials. We also give you loads of different revision materials for you to use for your exams, which are all free of charge if you're a MedSoc member. So we'll be talking a bit more about the membership at the end of the talk, but in terms of who we are, that is a very brief outline. We do a lot more, not an exhaustive list, but yeah. Okay, moving on. I'll hand it over to Dylan and Tess, our social secretaries. This is going to be they're going to talk a bit about Welcome Week, so your first week once you're here next week. Yeah, take it away.
Okay, cool. So basically, obviously, with COVID, it's like a lot harder. We've been working for about a month alongside the UEA and the SU, having lots of calls, trying to plan events that might not happen. But yeah, we've really tried our best for you guys. Today, we actually found out some news from a man that we had a meeting with the other day, talking about basically the SU will allow us maybe to do a face-to-face event, obviously abiding by the COVID secure guidelines. So we'll be planning that in the upcoming week for you guys. But as far as it goes, these are like our concrete events. Obviously, these are the ones that we know can definitely happen. So first we have family night. If you haven't filled in your Med family forms, please fill them in, because this night is probably one of the best nights you'll have, like as COVID allows it. So obviously we won't make your families more than 6 people so that you can meet up with them, but we'll hand you guys over to your parents that we've assigned you. And then they can basically choose what to do with you guys. You can go out for drinks, you can have a night in, you can do whatever, obviously social distancing and things. So yeah, that's a good night that hopefully you'll have lots of fun at. We next have sports night, which will be on the Wednesday. Obviously these are with the Med sports teams like rugby and football and hockey and things, and they are organising this, so if you have any more questions, they're all on your Med 2020 group chat, so you can ask them as well what they're planning. But basically for the evening you do like a training session, and COVID allows this because it's sport. So yeah, that's sports night. And then
if you want any more information for those sports teams, definitely head up their Instagram and Facebook pages as well, that they'd be able to give you updates on what they're doing.
Yeah, and also it's a really good choice. I know even if you're not sporty, you should go to them, because they're a really good way of making friends and meeting new people, especially because you guys are going to have limited chances to meet new people. And then we have online pub quizzes that we will make in the upcoming weeks, just like on Zoom like this. And there'll be very good prizes, we promise.
Definitely.
So yeah, but we are sorry that we haven't been able to give you like concrete plans. But hopefully with this email that we got today, we'll have more promising things that we can do.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. And yeah, talk about, Tess and Dylan can talk to you about Freshers Week as well.
So basically, because the kind of first week that we would normally be having freshers is kind of being put to rest and pushed ahead, we've decided to kind of reorganize things for a later date. And so we've organized a bit of a refreshers week in that we've chosen some of the main events that we would have had in our freshers to be then. So that would start off with the t-shirt bar crawl, and in there you see a little summary in that bubble, but that was definitely one of the highlights of the freshers week whenever I started, because that was when you kind of got to see everyone and you first met everyone and things like that, and you were able to kind of go around Norwich a bit with them as a group, and it was really fun to kind of explore with your newfound mates, really. And then next we would be having Doctor's Mess, which was definitely another highlight. You know, this year you see all the memories coming up on Snapchat of pictures you took last year, and it's almost sad, but that's definitely going to be happening for you guys just at the later date in the year. And it's basically where you dress up with something that your name begins with. So my name is Dylan, obviously, so I dressed up with something beginning with D. And that was really fun. You know, it's funny to see how inventive people get, and it definitely is something to remember. And then cocktail party is a bit more classy. You know, for the first 2 nights of the week, you're a bit of a mess walking, but then you kind of get to cocktail party where you're able to dress up quite nicely and you're able to see people at their best, that's for sure. And recently we got this 2-for-1 cocktails deal with Mr. Postle's Apothecary, which is in Norwich, and that's really going to be of good use to us because that's a lot of money saved and a lot of cocktails drunk. Definitely.
That is for MedSoc members, and also these events are kind of like traditions now within MedSoc, and Doctor's Mess is the best event of the year, so we will definitely make sure that you guys have one. And we're going to, Refreshers Week obviously depends on when COVID settles and things, but hopefully it'll happen beginning of next year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. But yeah, obviously with the government saying things, we really don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, ASAP is the plan. So yeah, thanks a lot, Dylan and Tess. I think we're going to have a short break for some of the questions now. So Rory, have there been any questions that have come through?
Yeah, so there have been a number of good questions. Some have been answered live, so people can always have a look at them. We've had a good question just asking about more details for this. So after we move in, how long until we find out about who our med family will be?
So Dylan and Tess, I think that's your question.
So we originally had planned to have the deadline for today. Obviously there can be a bit of leeway in terms of people being stressed to move in and things like that. So we will let you know your med families around the first day you move in, and kind of leading into the first day that you start officially, which is the 21st, I think. So we'll let all the parents know, and then we'll provide the form to see who you're paired with and things, and then you can get in contact. But it'll be coming soon, so all this waiting and all us pestering you to get your family forms will finally be worth it.
And I do stress, if you guys don't fill it out, we will end up just pairing on the day. If we know there are orphans, we will just end up pairing you guys with anyone who's free. So you do need to fill out the form. It will be very beneficial. So
yeah, highly recommend it. Well, it's on the MedSoc website, by the way, guys. If you don't know where it is, it's on the new students tab. If you go on our UEA MedSoc.co.uk. So yeah, that'll be there. Awesome.
So we've got a couple more just relating to Welcome Week freshers. We had one that we answered, but it's good for people to know. We had a question about are the Medic Freshers Week, are they applicable for Gateway students as well? Who's allowed in?
Yeah, anyone's allowed in. Don't worry.
Everyone from medicine's allowed.
Yeah. So we've got another good question. And will we get campus tours this year?
That's Louise. Yeah.
So I think this sort of, if it's okay, I'll answer this. Just there's a number of things that UEA has put in place, such as like a Rise app, and a number of events that will happen throughout Welcome Week that they have more scope to do. There's a number of different tours that you can take that are self-guided, so that allows them to happen during COVID. So I'd recommend having a look at the UEA Facebook page and all the details coming out with regards to Welcome Week, because you'll get campus tours on them, but they'll be self-guided, but you'll be talked through them all.
Awesome.
We've got a number of other questions, but I think they get answered later. So if it's all right, we'll move on to the next thing.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not purposely ignoring all your questions. We will be covering them later on in this PowerPoint. So we thought the best place to start this whole talk, aside from Freshers Week and all that, is just giving you a brief overview of sort of the main locations around campus. So like where the Hive is, where the LCR is, where some of the student accommodations are. We'll start off with the main entrances to the university. So there are two. There is one which we like to call the sports park entrance, which we'll show on the map just here. So that's one of the entrances.
Comes off the village. So
So if you know about village accommodation is just up there. As you can see, we're just circling it right now. And along there is the sports park, as well as the Enterprise Centre, which is like another lecture theatre, but we won't be spending much time there, so we won't dawdle on it for too long. The other entrance is off Bluebell Road, which is just to the right of it, right here. This entrance is located near to the medical centre, so we like to call this the medical centre entrance. So this sort of big grey building here, that's where the medical centre is. And yeah, the medical centre is basically just like, it's a GP first of all. So if you have any problems, you can just go there, and you'll be asked to register when you start university at East Anglia. So it's also like where one of the launderettes located, but we won't go into detail there because we've got a whole slide on that later on. And yeah, it's also located near to the Pickling and Barton accommodations, as well as the Victory House accommodations. So we'll now move on to the Hive. So the Hive is kind of where it's kind of like a very social space. It's also where the SU is located. So a lot of their offices are on the top floor of the Hive. So here you can find like support for certain things that you might be having a problem with. It's also where lost and found is. If you say lose your debit card like I did on club night, it's where you go to see if anyone's handed it in, which in my case they did. But yeah, it's also a social space. So in fact, I might not talk about it in too much detail because again, we've got another slide on it. I'll just say that yeah, it's there. In terms of other things we should point out, we should just also point out where the medical school is. Yeah, so medical school is quite far away from the sort of central campus area, just located here. I'm sure all of you have been here before though, because of everyone's had their interviews there. So yeah, that's where that is. It's close to the Constable Terrace accommodation, and it's also along the road, Chancellor's Drive, which is the road you need to go down when you want to go to BCRE / the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital,
quite far.
which is quite far, as you can see. So
yeah, this is why we recommend buying bikes, and we'll also talk about bikes and other forms of transport later in the talk. But yeah, that's a very brief overview of what's on uni. Talk about the SU as well and a bit more detail in that.
Yeah, so as I was just saying earlier, yeah, this is the Hive is basically just like social space with the SU offices. Usually it would have a lot more things going on within it. So it has sometimes has food stalls, sometimes has bakeries open. It also has lots of like pink benches, as you can see in the picture on the bottom left, which you can sit at and just meet up with friends, or I don't know, just eat lunch by yourself. I don't know. Unfortunately, of course, due to COVID and all that, what the Hive is going to be used to is going to be severely limited. So yeah, don't expect all of those things to be happening just yet. Hopefully they will be quite soon, but as for now, yes, there won't be really anything there. However, what will be open is the Unio coffee shop, which is just, you can't see it in that image there, but it's just, if you just keep going along the Hive, then you'll find it. That has been confirmed to be open, and yeah, it's just a good place to get coffee and little snacks and stuff like that. And yeah, as I said, just like the SU is good for like, it's good to meet up with people there to talk about housing, as well as if you need any advice on anything. And yeah, other than that, there isn't too much to say.
Yeah. Another thing that the SU like to take pride in is the bars. So doesn't have to be alcohol, but they do sell alcohol there, and it's a place where a lot of people convene and get together after a heavy night at placement, or it could be a weekend night out. It doesn't really matter. It's a very social space, and it is open. It's confirmed to be open over COVID. So I actually went there today with Rory just to check to make sure that it is open, and it is open as long as you like, wear a mask and do all this other stuff like wash your hands. And yeah, but so basically the bars are sort of split up into red bar, blue bar, and the scholars bar. So for you guys, the scholars bar won't really apply because that's mainly for postgraduate students. But the red bar and the blue bar are just sort of next to the Hive where Alex was talking about. So, and it's basically the same place. When someone says, "Oh, let's meet at the red bar," you might sort of see someone at the blue bar as well. If that makes sense. They're sort of like just two places, and but the only difference is like the color of the walls, basically. So, but anyway, those are the two places, and you can go there. Plenty of people there, plenty of drinks. The most popular drink that people get is something called a snake bite. We did write about this in our FAQ document, but it's half beer, half cider, and a bit of blackcurrant cordial. It sounds really weird, but everyone drinks it, and it's quite nice. So, and it's really cheap. It's like $2.70 a pint, I think it is. So yeah, that's the bars for you. So once again, it's a great place to convene and meet your friends, obviously within COVID guidelines. But yeah, fantastic place to go. Moving on then. Yeah, so Alex is going to talk about the LCR now, which yeah, it could happen. But
yeah, so the LCR, or lower common room, is, don't be confused, it's not like a Harry Potter sort of common room. It's actually a sort of venue where every Tuesday and Saturday sort of club nights happen. It's not just club nights that it hosts, however, it also hosts a number of notable bands. So in the past, we've had people like Stormzy, Lewis Capaldi, Wolf Alice. We've also had Georgia Smith, and very much far and cast. We've had like Coldplay and Ed Sheeran, people like that. It also tends to attract some special visitors from time to time. So the Chuckle Brothers came about 2 years ago, but yeah, fortunately they won't be able to come anymore. Rest in peace, Barry Chuckle. Rest in peace, Barry Chuckle. So yeah, that's a place that most people tend to go out to, just because it's like on campus, it's very close to everyone, it's not a hassle to get to, and yeah, it's also quite cheap compared to some of the places in town. And yeah, it's just a good laugh. It's where all your friends will be there, especially if you're a medic, because there's a specially cornered section of the LCR floor called Medic's Corner. I know it's very pretentious, but it exists, where basically everyone in this corner just tends to be a medic. So yeah, if you go there, you're basically going to run into everyone you know.
It sounds pretentious because it is.
Yeah.
It's named after medics just being really irresponsible, but we are responsible people. So anyway, but yeah, that's the LCR for you. There's also the square, which overlooks. Well, it doesn't overlook. It's overlooked by the bar and the Hive. So it's just all these places that we talked about are sort of in like 100-meter radius. It's really close. They're really close to each other. So the square is another one of those places that people get together. It's located next to the bar, so you can take your drinks outside if it's a nice sunny day, and drink with your mates outside and chat. And it's a really nice social space as well. And in the past, they've hosted all sorts of events on the square as well. So on the top right, you can see a whole bunch of people, definitely before the pandemic. And that was something called Pimp My Barrow, which is sort of a fancy dress get-together thing where thousands of people got together and just had a lot of fun and listened to music. And they've hosted things like Derby Day as well. So UEA sort of have a rivalry with Essex University, and that's one of those things that happen every May. Once again, COVID permitting, we don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully you should be able to keep up to date with your emails and stuff, because they'll tell you all the latest information. So and then obviously next to the there needs to be some place to eat. So next to the square there's a place called the Campus Kitchen, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's one of those restaurants that you can go to. I wouldn't call it a restaurant, it's more of just an eatery, I guess. Nothing fancy, just like pizzas, chips, sort of takeout food. It's really cheap, and you can sort of go there with your mates as well, and it's another good place to convene before your lectures or after your lectures, or sometime during the week. So that's just another place on campus to look out for. Moving on then, Alex is going to talk about something called a street.
Yeah, so the most exciting part of the university campus, the street. So yeah, it's not a very original name, but yeah, it's named after what it describes. So what it contains, mainly, it contains more than just these 4 things that we've described, but the other things are just like cafes, and also just there's like a laundrette, and yeah, we don't talk about the cafe because yeah, it's just very similar to Campus Kitchen that Haj just talked about, and laundrette again, we're going into greater detail later on. So probably the most important thing located on the street is the Shop SU. So it's basically just like a little mini supermarket on campus. It's open Monday to Friday from 8 to 9 p.m. and from Saturday to Sunday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. rather to 9 p.m. They also do this kind of hatch service, so very late at night. There'll be maybe 1 or 2 people running around the shop. The doors will be closed, but basically these 2 people will take requests from people who go to this like special sort of opening within the shop, and yeah, they'll run around the shop, get what you want, bring it to this hatch, and then give it to you. Not too sure whether that's still happening. Obviously, again because of COVID. To be honest, and also you probably won't be using it with the LCR being shut for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's because most people, the main reason people go there is because like, yeah, they want like a mixer for the free drink they want to go to or something like that. But yeah, the other important thing to mention is that the post office is found inside. So here you can buy stamps, you can send parcels away, and yeah, you can like also receive high priority packages, and you can send high priority packages from like the post office inside of the Shop SU. Yeah, we'll go into a bit more detail about it when we talk about some places to get food around campus. The other things to mention, the Waterstones. It's a great place if you just want to get like a nice casual book to read, but we definitely don't recommend getting textbooks. I'm not sure if they really sell any, to be honest, but the reason we recommend not getting any textbooks there is because they'll charge you a fortune, and you can always get them used. Most students in the old years who are graduating often sell them on the MedSoc pages, so specifically the education page now. So it's the best place to buy books will be there because they'll be selling them cheap, and yeah, they won't be like, even though they're used, they'll still be in great condition. There's also Barclays Bank, which is, you know, it's basically just got places to withdraw cash. That's the main thing to mention about it. It's like not very, you don't really need cash around campus as such. You used to, because the buses used to only take cash, but now they take card. The only thing you probably need cash for is for Dr. Bike, which is like a bike repair shop. It's very close to Barclays Bank. It's like right outside the Hive, around that area. Yeah, and they don't accept card payments, so yeah, that's probably the only reason you need cash. So yeah, move on to the sort of main locations.
Yeah. So far we talked about most of the places based around the Students' Union. So that's like the centre of campus. So the Hive, the LCR, the Square, the Street. So these are all, as I said, within like a 100-metre radius of each other. Now we're going to talk a bit about your sort of educational buildings. So where you might have your lectures, your seminars, your group teaching, that kind of stuff. So first of all, the Norwich Medical School, as we pointed out on the map, is actually not so much centrally located. It's sort of off to the left, per se, on a road called Chancellor's Drive. And surprisingly, I know you had your interviews there, but it's actually one of those places that you don't particularly go to too much during your first year. You have your PBL sessions there every now and then, but once again, it's not going to be somewhere that you go every week or every day. And even more because of COVID, it's not going to be some place that you're going to go, especially with all the online stuff happening. A couple of other places we wanted to point out were the Queen's Building, which is just adjacent to the medical school. It's like a 2-minute walk on the other side of the road. It has also lecture theatres and halls and that kind of stuff, which are mainly for their healthcare students. So you'll see a lot of nurses and OTs and PTs and stuff there. But the main reason why we pointed out is because it contains the anatomy lab. So the anatomy lab is where you have the cadaveric dissection. So from my knowledge, UEA are one of the only 11 medical schools in the country that do cadaveric dissection. But once again, from COVID, from our understanding from the medical school, anatomy will all be taught online, unfortunately. So no cadaveric dissection for the foreseeable future until lockdown, so COVID guidelines sort of ease off. But yeah, so that's a couple of places that you might have to look out for. Alex is now going to talk about the other side of campus, which basically has all the green and fancy, pretty stuff on campus.
So if you live in the Zigs, you'll be treated to the marvellous view of the UEA Broads. So that just gives you something to be hyped about if you're a Ziggurats resident in the upcoming year, but also just gives you an idea of where the Broads are. So here, this will be a very important location next year, because of course it's like a green space and it's easier to meet people outside and stuff like that with COVID guidelines. So here, yeah, it's just a beautiful green space with a lake in front of it. Dotted around the lake are these little barbecues that you can hire out. To do that, you need to go to the SU website and then just book them there.
It's sort of like an area of its own with like a grill, so then you can bring your own charcoal on your meat and stuff and cook it there.
And yeah, we highly recommend going there when you come sometime next week. So we'll take a little break for questions now.
So yeah, inundated with questions this time round. We had a number of people asking about the scholars bar upstairs. So we answered a few, but there's a few more people asking, can you use the postgrad if you're a mature undergrad student? From my understanding, it's normally just for postgrads, and you get a snazzy extra card which lets you in, which keeps undergrads out. It's definitely worth asking. I think undergraduates can still go, especially if you're with a postgrad mate. So buddy up with some postgrads and be able to get in as well. But red bar and blue bar are equally very good bars. We've got a question. I think it's a good time to talk about it. We mentioned about books. So are there any books that you think we should buy now, or do you wait? Do you have to buy your own textbooks?
Yeah, so Alex is going to get a couple of copies of books that he'd probably recommend in his first year. If there was one thing to take away from this question, is don't be stressed about buying loads of books, because more often than not, you'd find a lot of the stuff that you need online or in the books that once you get to med school, the students will recommend directly for you, if that makes sense. So one of the books that we'd recommend as students for your first year is, okay, that, if you can read that, it's Rheumatology and Orthopedics Crash Course. So I believe that orange copy that Alex is holding is the 3rd edition, but they've released sort of like a grey-black 4th edition as well. In your first year, you study two sort of broad modules. So you have a module called Foundations in Medicine, which is basically all the sort of different aspects of medicine, like health economics, health law, basic pathophysiology, basic anatomy. And then you also have a module. So if you guys don't know, UEA are a specialty-based medical school. So what that means is they teach in terms of specialties. So you'll have obstetrics and gynecology for one module, and then you have respiratory medicine for one module. And the module that you guys study in this year is rheumatology and orthopedics. So that's all the joints and bones and connective tissue diseases. And that book there is sort of like the gold standard, I guess, of all the book of the rheumatology and orthopedics teaching. That being said, it doesn't have everything you need to know in first year. There's obviously a bit more than that, but this book definitely covers a significant proportion to the right detail as well.
So other than that, I think hold out on the book front.
Yeah.
But that is a good book, like I said. We've got another question just asking what is Stash and what kind of Stash is available and where can you buy it. So I think it's a good time to talk about that with the SU.
So I'll bring this up because we've had some exciting announcements about Stash this year. So we're basically doing a redesign on Stash. People have complained about how boring it has been. So what we're doing at the moment is we've been holding an emblem competition for the medical school. So we've received some entries, and yeah, the deadline for the competition is closed. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, you can't get involved. But what you can do is you can vote for the emblem that you want to win. So the competition will be going live sort of just around when you start, maybe a bit later. But yeah, the important thing, the reason I bring this up is because it will be featured on the new series of Stash. So what we'll be offering is we'll have basically like on one side of your sweatshirt, your t-shirt, your hoodie, you'll have the emblem that's going to be chosen very shortly. And on the other side, you'll have your name. And I think UEA mandates us to have like the UEA logo on it somewhere. And yeah, and there'll be like loads of choices of colours and all that. But yeah, just keep an eye out for more announcements in the near future on that topic.
So definitely keep an eye out on Stash. Just one more thing, and then I'm conscious that we've got to move on to the next lot of topics. We've had a question I'll just quickly answer, saying, do we have to register for the GP in Norwich? And mine's currently 40 minutes away in Suffolk, but I can't read something. We had something on an email. So yeah, it's hugely important to register with a GP within Norwich, whether that's the UEA Medical Centre or one actually within the town. It just means that you can go and see them for any problems that come up, and you don't have to worry about going back. There are also some extra jabs that you normally have to get through occupational health. So we'd recommend as soon as possible booking in and changing to the GP in Norwich Medical Centre. But that's a really good question. I think it's really important.
Yes. Keep a lookout for your emails as well about those jabs that Rory was on about. It'll be like hepatitis, a couple of other like viral what's it called, vaccinations. So yeah, so definitely keep an eye out because you won't be allowed to go on placement if you don't have these jabs. So yeah.
Yeah, and then I think we'll move on if you're happy. We'll keep answering questions.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, so the next bit we want to talk about is the gym and the sports park, which is one of those places that we talked about right at the beginning. So you remember we had the two entrances to UEA. We have the sports park entrance, which was sort of by the village, and then we have the medical centre entrance, which is sort of by Victory House, Hickling and Barton. So and then this is basically pretty much next to one of the entrances. So the sports park, it's a place where they have pretty much everything you'd expect from a good sports facility sort of building. So they have all sorts of climbing centres, a gym, athletics track, really big swimming pool, climbing wall if you're interested in rock climbing, and a lot more other things like lots of courts, like tennis courts, football pitches, hockey, Astros, things like that. And but we want to talk a bit about the gym because I'm sure a lot of you might be interested in that. So the gym is at UEA, is in the sports park. It's £150 for the entire year for an off-peak membership. And an off-peak membership basically means you can go any time apart from on the weekday after between 4:30 and 8:30 p.m. if that makes sense. So you can go in the weekend and you can go anytime from Monday to Friday other than 4:30 and 8 p.m., between 4:30 and 8 p.m., if that makes sense. So that's something to look out for. If you, for example, if you wanted to go to the gym between 4 and 8:30 p.m. for whatever reason, then there's also a peak membership, which is £300 for the year. That being said, that's not the only gym in the entirety of Norwich. There's other gyms available in town. There's like Pure Gym, a couple of others, which have similar or cheaper pricing. So have a look around, and it shouldn't be too hard to look out for. But obviously, this is the main sort of convenient gym in the centre of campus that everyone goes to. Just a brief bit about UEA Sport, because UEA Sport is one of those things that medical students do, but medical students also have their own separate teams for some sports, like rugby, netball, hockey, football, and we even have like our own ski team if you're interested in skiing. So the reason for that is because we don't have as liberal timetables as some other people. So we have a lot more contact hours. For example, on Wednesdays, we might have teaching, whereas most other students won't have any teaching on Wednesday, and then they can play Bucks sports on Wednesdays. And Bucks is basically like the university league sports. So it's not that medics can't do it, it's limited to that extent. So we'd highly recommend joining a medic sports team, but that doesn't stop you from joining a UEA sports team. And for a membership for one of these sports teams at UEA, so let's say I wanted to join UEA lacrosse team, that would be £50 for a SAM membership, which is basically a membership for that team, if that makes sense, for a year. So that's that. In summary, join a medic sport team if you can, but you're free to also join a UEA sports team, but you might have to work your way around a timetable a bit more than another student who's studying a different course. Hopefully that makes sense. Awesome. Alex is going to talk a bit about your laundry and your launderettes now.
Yeah, so I said I'd talk about it later, and here we are. So, dotted around campus, there are 4 launderettes in total. There is one located just outside of Hickling House, Hickling Barton. There's also one located just outside the medical school, which is the one... Medical centre, sorry. Which is the one pictured in the top left image. There's also one, as I said earlier, on the streets. So that's the one that's closest to the ziggurats. And then there's one also located in the village. So so the medical centre one's very good if you live in Victory House, Hickling Barton Village, obviously they're best for those accommodations, and then the street one's best for ziggurats.
And Constable Terrace.
Terrace as well, yes. So we've noticed that a few people have been asking questions in the chat about like how it works, how you pay for it and stuff like that. So the way it works is within each launderette there is a machine, and what this machine does is it dishes out circuit laundry cards, and there's instructions on each of these machines, and so you won't have any problem figuring it out. But basically you go to the launderettes, you get one of these cards, and then you set up an account with Circuit Laundry, and once you've done that, you basically top up this card with cash over PayPal. So it's like you can't put like a very specific amount in. I think you have to put like £5, £10, yeah, £20, stuff like that. I did find out recently that if you have leftover credit, you can get a refund as well on it. Just it's quite a long-winded process. So yeah,
the card costs around £3 as well. So you'll have to pay that in coins. So it's a coin machine. You put the coins in, the card comes out, and then from there you have to, as Alex said, pay through PayPal on their website. So circuitlaundry.com or something like that.
And it's also important to mention that all of them are public use. Anyone can use them, apart from the Hickling Barton one, which is only available to Hickling Barton residents. So don't try and go there if you're not living there, because you'll be faced with a long walk back, unfortunately.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Okay. Another thing that medical students love to go to is the library. So everyone goes on about how medical students have to study loads and do lots of revision. And I guess that's true to some extent, but it's not entirely true. There's a lot of free time to do a lot of different things, but the library is one of those places where people go to study, and the library at UEA is very well equipped for medical students as well. So I'm going to talk a bit about how you could take out books, how it's going to work over COVID as well, something about the medical floor, which is a floor not dedicated to medical students, but it's where a lot of med students like to go to study, and a bit about printers and computers as well. So firstly, with books, there's thousands and thousands of books in the library. Let's say you wanted to take out a copy of Rheumatology Crash Course Rheumatology and Orthopedics. You'd simply go to the library, find the book, then you sort of go to one of these take-out machines, and you put the book in the machine, scan your campus card, and then it sort of automatically takes out the book for you. And the books are taken out for 3 weeks. Okay, so, and you'd have to renew them every 3 weeks through your e-vision. You might be aware of that. We can talk about e-vision in a bit. And it's infinite renewals as long as someone's requesting it or it's a high demand book. So technically you can have the book indefinitely as long as someone doesn't request it. It used to be open, the library used to be open 24/7, 365 days a week. It was literally open on Christmas Day if you wanted to go to the library for whatever reason on Christmas Day. But now they sort of changed things because of COVID. So firstly, it's not open 24 hours of the day. It's only open from 9 till 5. Okay, and it's only open on the weekdays, 9 till 5. So no Saturday and Sunday study in the library. And they've also completely cordoned off and removed all the group study areas. So there used to be lots of like big tables where people would sort of get together and study together with their mates. And there were floors that were like literally were designed for group study and not for individual study. But now you can only go there for individual study, and you have to book a slot. And I'm not sure of how long the slots are, but you do have to book a slot in order to get a place in the library. So on the sort of top right hand side of the slide, you can see these like red sort of cordoned off sections of the library, and that's always been a thing before COVID. But these bits now, you could just walk into them before, but now you have to go into these pre-booking them, and you won't be allowed in otherwise. And that's actually the med floor. So the med floor so there's 6 floors in the library, and the med floor is 01. Okay, so this can get quite confusing. So the ground floor is when you walk into the library. So you scan your campus card and you go into the library. That's floor 0. 01 is the floor below that. So it's not floor 1, which is above that. It's 01, which is sort of the basement 1, if that makes sense. So 01, which is the med floor, and it also has all the medical books. So if you want to take out Rheumatology and Orthopedics Crash Course, that will be found in the med floor. There's also 02. So there's 02, 01, 0, and then there's also 1, 2, and 3. Does that make sense? So there's a total of 6 floors. But med floor is 01. That being said, medical students don't have to go to 01. You can still go to the other floors. It's not like you're a medic, you have to go to this floor. Okay. Finally, a bit about printers. You can bring your own printer to your flat and your accommodation if you wanted to. That's not a problem. If you did want to print out stuff, it's inexpensive. It's not that expensive. So you sign up using this app called PaperCut. So you sign in onto the UEA computers in the library using your UEA credentials. Then you sort of donate money, sort of inject money into your account, and then you can print off stuff using your campus card. So let's say I wanted to print out this slide. I'd click print, and it would direct me to the PaperCut sort of app on the computer. I click print, and then I go to any of the printers in the library, scan my campus card, and my campus card is linked to the PaperCut app. So then the stuff will print out, if that makes sense. It's around 5p per slide of paper for a black and white, and it's a lot more expensive for a color print. So, but I don't really know when you'd need to print in color. Mainly it's black and white, so that's pretty cheap. Awesome.
Okay, so just going on to the lecture halls, the lecture hall that first years will spend most of the time in, which is of course the BCRE. Unfortunately, you won't be spending as much time here, at least in the first semester, as other years have. But yeah, basically it's a massive lecture hall, and usually you're there every Monday and Tuesday, basically 9 till 5. To get there, if you recall back to earlier on in the presentation when I talked about, like, you have to go down Chancellor's Drive just alongside the medical school, and at the end of Chancellor's Drive there's like this little tiny pathway, and you just go down that pathway, and then you'll see loads of like playing fields, so colony playing fields, and then you just keep following this path, and then you basically, until you reach this road, and you follow the road, and cross this road where this roundabout is, and then, yeah, you're basically there at the BCRE.
Don't worry if that sounds too confusing. Everyone just sort of walks there on the first few days, and you just follow the crowd, and you'll make it to the BCRE.
Exactly. It's just important to mention, as you probably have guessed, like what I described sounds like quite a long walk. And it is quite a long walk. It's about 15 to 20 minutes. So it's kind of a pain for a 9 AM lecture, because it means you have to get up quite early for it, but it's better than getting there late and watching everyone going in whilst everyone's sat down, and whilst the lecturer is already presenting, because otherwise it's very embarrassing for that to happen. So make sure you get up early enough to walk there and get there in time. Of course, get a bike though, because this will speed up the process, and you can cycle there in about less than 10 minutes.
It's like 5 minute cycle.
Yeah,
so
it's really good. Another important thing to mention in the BSRE, there's also this clinical skills area, or the CSRA, and this is where you'll have most of your clinical teaching. You need clinical teaching not only because you're going to be doctors, but also because you've got OSCEs every year. These will take place at the end of the year. And basically an OSCE is just like a clinical exam. It's kind of like a French oral exam, but instead of reciting out what you did on your holiday, you instead recite how you take someone's blood pressure or how you take someone's blood. This place is good for practicing in, because it's open 24/7, and we highly recommend taking full advantage of it.
So Alex, was about OSCEs. That's just one of the types of exams that you have during your time in medical school. It's not just the UEA thing. OSCEs are done throughout every single medical school. You also have written exams, which we can talk about if you guys want, but it's not a big deal at the moment. Don't worry about exams, please. Okay, don't worry about exams. Okay. Next to the BCRE though is some place called the NNUH, which stands for the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital, and it's one of the main hospitals, teaching hospitals, that you get allocated in for your secondary care placement. So obviously this is a secondary care establishment. It's not a primary care like a GP practice. And it's literally next to the BC. It's literally across the road from the BCRE that Alex was on about. So once again, about a 15-20 minute walk from campus, maybe even further from places like Victory and Hickling and Barton. So once again, that's an incentive to get a bike and get there a bit more on time and have those extra few minutes of sleep and a bit of light in. But don't be late to your placement. Talk about placement in a bit. It's one of the main 3 hospitals that you get taught at. So this is the NNUH. There's also the James Paget Hospital in Great Yarmouth, so on the east coast, and there's also the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is in Kingsley, which is on the other side of Norwich. Couple of interesting facts about the hospitals. Well, first of all, Norfolk and Norwich is one of the biggest hospitals in the UK, with over 1,200 beds. Blah, 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 blah. We're very proud to have a hospital so close to us, which offers very, very good teaching. We have Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is in Kingsley, as I said. It's next to Sandringham, so you might see Prince Philip driving around in his whip. So yeah, that might be quite cool. And then also you have the James Paget Hospital, which is in Great Yarmouth. It's named after a guy called Sir James Paget. He was a pathologist in the 1800s. You'll learn about something called Paget's disease, and then the rheumatologist will be like, "Oh my God, this is from James. This is James Paget. His name is named after him. Be proud of it." Yeah. But yeah, they're both very good hospitals as well. So those are the main 3. Awesome.
Right, Hadjan's little history lesson to top up on there. So.
Yeah.
So we've had loads of questions, and if people are worried that we've not answered them yet, don't worry, we'll get round to it. we're probably saving it for a later slide, so don't worry.
Can we answer a couple of them now, though?
Definitely going to answer a few. So we had a question earlier on. So where is the hangout in the day for med students? Any good hangout places in general? Best coffee shop or restaurant on campus? What do you say?
So basically, we said in the BCRE is the main place that you have your lectures during a Monday and Tuesday. And it's not that feasible to just walk all the way back to campus for a break and then come all the way back, because that's already a 40-50 minute walk there and back, which is kind of pointless. But in the BCRE, there's places to eat and drink. There's a coffee shop next to the lecture theatre in the BCRE. There's also some nice outdoor places as well. So that's nice. If you're on campus as well, we mentioned all the places before, like the campus kitchen, the square, the bar. There's even the library. Well, obviously now you can't, but people used to convene in the library, not necessarily for work, but for social, not necessarily socializing, but just to get together.
I think yeah, definitely. I completely agree with Haj on that. I think as well as all the different coffee shops in the lecture places like JSC and other places, there's loads of little coffee shops. But also there's a med social space within the medical school. This is unlikely that you'll be able to go there during lectures because they're going to be online, but there's a room of requirement where you can get cups of coffee and stuff in that, and there's also a social space there. I'm just conscious we've got a lot of others to cover. We've got a few questions I think Dylan might be able to answer. So will the Jungle Club event still be running? And we've got a few questions like that. So Dylan.
Those are like Norwich and UEA events, so that has nothing to do with thematic freshers, but based off COVID guidance and things like that, I can't imagine it would be going ahead.
And a few more gym questions. Do you have to wear a mask when exercising in the gym?
You do.
Yes, I believe so. Is it? No.
Looking up, I thought it wasn't mandatory. It didn't say you needed to.
So organise.
All the information will be on the sports park site. Also, does the off-peak membership for the gym work in timetables okay for medics? Do you find that people can find time to go for the gym?
I mean, there's nothing in the evening, so a lot of people tend to go after 8 p.m, as I said, and it's sports parks opened till around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So there's plenty of time to go.
And you can always go in the mornings as well. You can find a time to go.
Yeah, it's only 4 to 8:30.
A couple more just about bikes. We've mentioned how bikes are quite good. It definitely, like Haj and Alex said, it's definitely recommended to get a bike to get to placements. There's loads of bike places to lock yourself up and bike stores. There's a doctor bike campus that we've mentioned, but we do recommend getting a bike lock, a D-lock. So
not one of those cable locks. Get a D-lock because they can actually get cut and nicked. It's not that high. It's not like London where you have to be very secure, but yeah.
And one more thing, quite a few people just asking about what if books are taken out by someone in person, and what form do books come in? How do you have them? Are they online? Are they PDF?
Yeah, there's a mix of ebooks and like physical books. As we said, you can request copies of books if they're all taken out, and then the person with the copy has to return it by the end of their sort of tenure of their book. Does that make sense?
And I think we're just going to end on this before going to the next section. The clinical skills lab, do any of you know whether it's open 24/7 with COVID, or do we have to wait for the med school to hear about that?
Yeah.
I think it'll be limited, but
yeah, I think at the moment it will be limited, and we'll just have to wait for more med school updates, unfortunately.
Right.
So
yeah, we haven't ignored some of the other questions. We're going to answer them all at the end, so don't worry.
But yeah, we'll be covering it all within these slides, don't worry. So we're just going to talk about accommodation. If you've read our FAQ booklet, you might have seen that we did like quite a thorough breakdown of like all the different accommodations at UEA, like all their advantages, disadvantages. So and most of you have probably already been assigned your accommodation, so we're not going to tell you which one's best and which one you should pick. We're just going to go over like what's in each room, what's in each kitchen, and yeah, shops nearby. So located within every single bedroom, you'll have a light, like a desk lamp, so don't worry about bringing that. And you'll also have a mattress, you'll be happy to know, so don't worry about bringing your own. But on the topic of bedding, you will need to bring everything else related to bed. So you need to bring a mattress cover, which is important because some people tend to forget that. Yeah, like mattress, just like sheets, of course, duvet and duvet cover, pillows and pillowcases, stuff like that. Aside from that sort of thing, there isn't really anything else you need to bring. Most of it will already be in your room. You'll of course need things like toothpaste, shampoo, hand sanitizer, but you probably knew that already. We also recommend that you bring toilet roll, because even though the cleaners do drop off toilet roll whenever they visit, they only drop off one singular roll. So you might find yourself in a situation where you'd run out of toilet paper if you just rely on what the cleaners give you. So yeah, make sure you bring plenty. Moving on to the kitchen. Every kitchen is equipped with a toaster, a kettle, and some hobs. Yeah, so don't do what I did and bring your own toaster and a kettle with you. Also important to mention, not allowed those in your room at any time. If you have them out, you'll get like a special notice from the cleaners, or you'll probably get an email saying please remove them. So hobs, every kitchen has them. The only kitchen that has an oven is Hickley and Barton. Yes, it does get quite a lot of benefits. The rest of the accommodations have these kind of grills. So as you can see in this picture of this lady cutting up some, looks to be like lemons, I can't really tell, sorry. There is a grill behind her. That's what you will find in most kitchens.
Microwaves as well.
Yeah, and there's also a microwave in every single kitchen. Fridge space, very important to be aware of, because it can be very limited, especially in places like the ziggurats, where about 2 fridges will be shared between 12 people. So it can be quite difficult to find space. So yeah,
same with the freezers as well.
Same with the freezers, you can imagine. Probably it's even more limited actually with freezers. Some accommodations have no problem. Again, Hickley and Barton, it's pretty good for how many fridges they have. And yeah, so in terms of like cooking utensils, got to bring the whole lot. Got to bring pans, cutlery, rice cookers, steamers, anything you can think of. Yeah, all that shebang. And you also need to bring your own like cleaning products, so like sponges, washing up liquid, surface cleaner, stuff like that. And finally, we'll just sort of briefly discuss the like shops around campus and nearby where you can get food. So as we mentioned earlier, there is the Shop SU, which is good for very essential items when you're in a rush or you just need something and you can't wait to get it. However, we don't recommend using it all the time because it can be very expensive. Also, the stock's kind of limited because it's quite a small shop. There's also a Tesco located on Bluebell Road, which if you just go to the Med Centre entrance that we talked about earlier and turn left, if you just go up that road for a bit, you'll find it there. Again, it's also quite small because it's primarily a petrol station. It's not really a supermarket. And yeah, it's not too far away. It's very close if you live in Hickling. Keep describing the benefits of Hickling, I apologise. But for everyone else, it's roughly, on average, about 10 to 15 minute walk away. We highly recommend that you do food orders, just because the food trucks have no problems getting to any accommodation on campus. Like, you may think, oh, when you're popping in your details into Tesco or whatever, like, oh, will they understand what cigarettes block 2 means? Don't worry, they do. They're very used to it. They'll be delivering them all the time. We recommend also, to save money on delivery, instead of booking like a singular 1 hour slot, book like a wide delivery, like a delivery window. So on Tesco, it's called like Flexi Saver. I'm not sure what it is for the other ones, but basically instead of picking a 1 hour window, you pick like a 4 hour window. And at the beginning of every morning, they'll text you which hour they're coming in, and that's just a good way of saving money.
Yeah. And you can even share the thing with your flatmates as well. So it'll be the delivery cost £3. Be like, oh, 3 of us, just split it. It's like £1 each. So yeah, that's really useful.
Mm-hmm. But if you want to do your shopping in person, yeah, Tesco's the closest place. There's also an Aldi, which is very good. Obviously, Aldi don't deliver, but yeah, if you have a car, That's the only. We don't really recommend going to Aldi unless you have a car.
Or cycle. You can cycle.
You can cycle, but you obviously can't do very big food shops if you cycle. But yeah, it's quite close, but far enough that it'd be a very long walk if you went there to pick up your shopping in person. There's also Waitrose, but no one really uses it. And that's
we're not that well off.
Yeah, unfortunately. Massive Waitrose though, biggest I've ever seen. But that's your kind of thing. It's there, and it's relatively close to campus. But again, you probably need to drive.
Sick.
So this picture that we've got on screen is just showing like what the accommodations look like. We've also got a picture of like the kitchen, like a very typical kitchen at UEA, just so you get an idea of what it is. So top left is like a sort of victory room, very clean victory room. The one on the top right is a Hickling room, and the bottom right is a ziggurat room. So that's just to give you an idea of what they look like.
The ziggurats come with a sink as well, sort of like in front of that girl pictured. There's a sink as well. So, but then you'll have to share showers and toilets. Sick. I'm going to talk a bit about the actual course structure now and what you guys typically have on the week of a first year medical student. So I'm going to break it down just from Monday to Sunday, so including the weekend as well. Just before I start, there is nothing on the weekend. So on Saturdays and Sundays, you don't actually have anything organised, but there's plenty of organised sport. You can carry out your hobbies. Obviously, that's the times you can revise and do a lot of work as well. But all the organised teaching is from Monday to Friday. So it's breaking it down. You might have got your timetables, but typically on a first year would have lectures on Monday and Tuesday. At the BCRE, as we described earlier, not really on campus, to be honest, because there's so many of you now. This is all, by the way, this is not for Gateway students, this is for A100 students. So typically this will be lectures in Monday and Tuesday in the BCRE. But then obviously now we've got online stuff as well. Wednesdays, you'd have anatomy, once again at the Queen's Building with cadaveric dissection, but once again, because of COVID, we won't have too much of face-to-face teaching, unfortunately. Thursdays, you'd have primary care placement, so not secondary care, primary care placement, which is going to be a mix of face-to-face and online, but they're trying to make it as much of face-to-face as they can. That will be with your PBL groups. I don't know if you guys have been assigned your PBL groups yet. So that's around a group of 10, and you get like a letter, so like PBL A, for example. And then within your PBL groups, you'll get allocated a particular primary care practice. So so you be prepared to see your group of 10 quite often. And then on Fridays, you'd have PBL sessions, which just like another way of teaching that UEA do. And then on Friday afternoons, you typically have something called clinical relevance, which is sort of like the rundown of all the learning objectives that you've learned throughout the week in about an hour's lecture, which is really useful. So we highly recommend you go to those. And then obviously on Saturday and Sunday, there's no teaching, but you have a lot of sport, like matches, that training, that kind of stuff on Saturday. And then Saturday night is usually a night where people can chill out and go out if that's your kind of thing, or there's a lot of things you can do on Saturday basically. And then Sunday you can have a lie-in, and then Sunday once again is quite a chill day. Do whatever you do on a Sunday, that's basically a week that you'd typically have at UEA. Once again, COVID permitting, things might and might not happen, but keep your eyes peeled for updates. Can we go back? Quickly go over Blackboard. So Blackboard is one of the main sites that you use. It has all your lecture slides that you can access, all the PBL documents that people would post on Blackboard, recordings, lectures, things like this are all on Blackboard. So we can't unfortunately go on Blackboard right now to show you guys because it's down for maintenance, but it's something that you do look into very frequently. Emails is another thing. Look into emails often. Log in with your UEA credentials. It's an Outlook app. It's not Gmail or anything. It's an Outlook thing. eVision is one of those things that it's mainly for like signing up for your year, checking like your if you pay for your accommodation through eVision as well. There's a couple of other things you can do, like check your student confirmation like of study, like your personal details, things like that. They're all on eVision. They also post your exam results on eVision as well. And then finally, just a bit about our MedSoc resources as well. We do provide you with a lot of revision materials. We're working on something called the Big Medicine folder this year, which is basically an amalgamation of pretty much all the notes that were passed down from now foundation doctors who used to go to UEA, and they were like top performing, like first decile students. And we have notes like PowerPoint presentations, quizzes that we've organised over the summer. We've been working hard on it, so you guys can access that and use that if you're a MedSoc member. And we've also done many other things, such as past test memberships, which basically is like a quiz thing. So unlike A-levels or IB or things like that, you don't tend to have a lot of past papers available. So past test membership is a really good way of practicing exam-style questions when the time comes, obviously. And yeah, there's other things that we provide, so keep a lookout on your Facebook and the website for more updates about that. Awesome. That was a lot to take in. Rory, let's...
questions as a result, yeah.
So many questions.
So this is where we can answer some of the questions from earlier, just to clarify or
take it away.
So just to confirm, primary care, from our understanding, am I right in thinking that primary care should be face-to-face throughout the year? This is completely dependent on what's going to happen with COVID guidance. It's only as a last resort that will really be pushed onto online, but expect face-to-face. Is that correct? Would you agree?
Yes.
PBL, as we understand, is also trying to get pushed to be face-to-face. And from what we understand, it will be, but they will give you plenty of time if this suddenly moves online, and it will be via Teams or whatever you do with your tutor. So at the moment, we think that they're all trying to push it face-to-face, but that might go back. More questions. Will we have placements this year? Will they be in person?
We sort of talked about that.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a question.
Yeah, carry on.
Sorry, I'm just going to scroll through because there's loads. Sorry.
Where will we have GP placements?
Yeah, where will we? Yeah.
So that's allocated based on your PBL groups. So each PBL group gets their own GP placed, like practice. So for example, some people might be in Ipswich, some people might be in Great Yarmouth, some people might be in Holt. That will all be discussed after this slide, so don't worry. It's all different depending on your PBL group. Do you guys know much about the UKMLA? Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end.
That'll come up later.
Is there a dress code? Once again, we'll talk about that later.
How far are the GPs to campus? Just like Haj said, they can be in Suffolk, Norfolk, so it can be quite a trek. There were a lot of questions before about transport, but you get provided transport to them for free of charge, unless they're sort of within walking distance, in which you have to make your own way there. A couple of things going back, because going back to the accommodation, because this is our first break. What size? So sizes of beds and bed sheets to bring along. Any answers to that?
It's singles, no doubles, unless there's a couple of very premium stuff, but expect it to be all single.
A lot of people asking about other things to bring along, like an iron, for example, but definitely bring an iron because you need to iron your placement clothes especially. We will have a list coming out in the next few days of what to bring, so that it's before you're coming to university if you're heading on the 18th and 19th. There'll also be a fresher booklet that I know we're talking about later, but with regards to bringing stuff, it'll all be in this thing that we're producing.
Also ask your flatmates if you've got like a group chat or anything, because you don't want to double up on things.
I think we'll keep going. I think some of these I'll answer, and then also I'm conscious that you're asking these and answering a lot of these questions in later slides. If that sounds okay. Happy?
Awesome. Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit about primary care now?
Yes, of course. So as Rory and Hash were talking about, primary care, where you're placed depends on your PBL group. It can be all across Norfolk and sometimes in Suffolk as well. So you tend to be like, I don't know, maybe like half an hour to an hour away from the university campus. But you can also end up in Ipswich, which, as you can imagine, is quite a journey. So you have to get up quite early for that. But yeah, you're all over the place. Sometimes you get buses with other PBL groups because they have placements. They're allocated at a GP that's sort of in the same area. So like Great Yarmouth, there's about 3 GPs there. So yeah, the way you get picked up in the morning, it's always at the same place. It's always outside this place called Congregation Hall. Congregation Hall is just up the road from the Hive and the LCR, so it's very like central. You shouldn't miss it. To what time they leave depends on where you're placed. You'll get all this information, don't worry, before you start. So if you're in Ipswich, it's very early. It's like 7:30, sometime like that, when the bus leaves. For me this year, it was like 8 o'clock. Yeah, but sometimes it can be like 9 o'clock on the dot. So yeah, it can be quite late. So what do you do at primary care? What the day is really divided up into is sort of discussing the content of the week. So you're going over like what you've covered in the lectures and stuff like that, as well as all the PBL learning objectives. And you also see patients. So that's like that's what you tend to get up to. You're also taught like clinical skills for OSCEs, not as often, but yeah, that's something that you're taught. So you'd be taught like blood pressure, you'd be taught maybe how to do an intramuscular injection, but usually on oranges, not on real people. And yeah, so that's like the general gist of what GP placement entails. Regarding lunch, this depends, like whether it's provided or not, depends on basically whether the drug reps for the GPs pay for it or not. So I was lucky that the drug reps paid for the lunch for my placement this year. Last year they didn't though. So we recommend in your first session bring your own lunch, see what the situation is, see if they bring out lunch or not. And if they do, yeah, then you don't need to bring it. But if they don't, then yeah, you're just going to have to keep making lunch.
There's even places around the GP placement that probably like a Tesco or like restaurants or whatever you can probably eat in anyway. So there's always some place to eat if worse comes to worse.
Yeah, there usually is. Just be wary that some of them are quite rural, so there might not be a shop nearby, but most of them have been. I've never had a situation where there has been like a cafe nearby to buy stuff. So yeah, just meet your patients, and yeah, write down the notes, what they've come in for, like what their conditions will be related to the learning objectives of the week. And yeah, usually you discuss it as a group, what you've seen, what the treatment is, and yeah, you ask questions to your GP about stuff you might have missed when you were talking to the patient, and yeah, the GP might also ask you questions just to make sure that you've been paying attention. But yeah, that's basically primary care summed up.
Yeah, awesome. So that was primary care, guys. I'm now going to move on to a bit about secondary care. So once again, mainly taught in the 3 hospitals that we mentioned earlier. We're also going to sort of subdivide secondary care into medical and surgical placement, if that's okay. So starting with this medical stuff, that'll be, you come to the ward round or like a teaching within the ward. It can be like clinics, it can be sort of clinical skills within the hospital, or even taught in the BCRE. So if you're in the NNN, that is, they also have different clinical skills rooms in the James Paget and the Queen Elizabeth Hospital as well. So that's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. You just meet patients in the wards. It's no theatre or anything like that. You get timetable for that as well. So by the way, with secondary care, your timetable should be released at least a week, if not earlier, before the start of the secondary care. And you'll also be told where you are for that secondary care placement as well. In terms of the surgical side, I'm sure you guys are quite excited to hear, UEA do a lot of sort of surgical placement. And unlike a lot of medical schools, we get that sort of exposure from year 1. So literally first weekend from secondary care, you guys could get put into any sort of surgery. So it's really cool. There's quite a few rules that you do need to stick to though, and we're going to sort of briefly cover them now, just to make sure you're not like completely unaware of what you're doing. You will get taught this once you come to medical school as well, but we understand it can be quite daunting. So just a couple of things, just to make sure you're not collapsing in the middle of the surgery. Don't be hungover or tired, and try to make sure you're well rested. Make sure you eat something before you come, and make sure you also arrive on time, because more often than not, if you're late, you're going to get told off. So don't do that. you can't just walk into the theatres. Like, you can't just, it's not like the wards, for example. A lot of the wards, often, if you want to clerk a patient or take a history, you can just walk in as long as you have some permission from the junior or the registrar on the ward. Whereas with surgery, you have to sort of let them know that you're definitely there. So you have to buzz the reception, sort of sign your name in and your time, and then you sort of get sent to a changing room, get changed into your scrubs, make sure you sort of find your right sizing and everything. And then you also get allocated shoes. So make sure you don't steal the surgeon's shoes, because he or she will get quite angry at you. So there's usually shoes allocated for medical students, and they're usually like clogs or even like Crocs, like that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, please don't steal the surgeon's shoes. And then you also have these like head coverings or hats. So you can see on the image there that the lady with the sort of hat covering there, that's something that you do have to wear, especially with girls, because they have like long hair and you have to tie it back. Make sure you wear the right hat color based on the surgeon, based on the hospital that you're in, because more often than not, they sort of people identify each other in the theatre based on the color of hat they're wearing. So there'll be a hat color dedicated for medical students, so that'll be green, for example, and the surgeons and the anaesthetists wear blue. So let's say you walked into the surgery with a blue hat, then you're in trouble, because let's say you get wheeled into an emergency surgery last minute and you don't know what you're doing. So you don't want that to happen. So make sure your head covering is the right color. When you're in the theatre, don't just walk in. Make sure you, as I said, let the people know that you're coming in, and then you have to walk through the scrub room door. Usually, that's usually the easiest place to go through. Don't just walk into the theatre, especially while a surgery is going on. It's to do with something called laminar flow. If you've done physics, it's basically like the airflow inside the theatre and like the sterile field that you have to make. And if you just open a door, then the sort of unclean air will start mixing with the clean air, and then obviously problems arise. So don't do that walking through the scrub room door if you can. Part of the protocol with surgery as well is that you have to make yourself known before the start of the surgery to everyone. So everyone in the room does it. So the surgeon will be like, "Oh, hi, I'm Mr. or Mrs. X. I'm the consultant surgeon. Hi, I'm Dr. X. I am the anaesthetist." And then he'll come around to you, and you have to say your name and what you are. So I'll be like, "Oh, my name's Hajindo. I am a medical student." Just to make sure that everyone in the room knows who you are and you know who everyone else is. Does that make sense? It's actually part of the World Health Organization guidelines, so it's a legal requirement. Yeah, you'll also, if you're lucky enough, some surgeons will let you scrub in and actually get involved. So it's not, you can't just wash your hands and expect to just walk into a surgery. You have to, if you want to get nice and close to a surgery, you have to do a special procedure called scrubbing in, which is you also get taught that during your first year, but it's basically a special way of washing your hands and then gowning as well, making sure you're completely sterile. But you get taught that, and if you're lucky enough, the surgeon there, he or she might let you walk in and get literally hands in, stuck in, doing all this stuff. I've heard stories of people literally holding the tools, and if they've done stitching, for example, they do the stitching. Or I know one student that had to like take out a kidney or something, and it was like his first week of placement. That was really cool. So yeah, that's a lot of things that you could look forward to during your first year. Awesome. That's surgery for you.
It's also just a good opportunity to talk about dress code, which we know a lot of you have been asking about. For guys, it's very simple, just shirt and chinos, which is very smart trousers. Make sure it doesn't need to be like a short sleeve shirt at all. You can have a long sleeve shirt and you just roll it up. But yeah, you've just got to make sure that you're bare below the elbow, so no watches, no bracelets, nothing like that. And yeah, otherwise you'll be fine.
And also for females wearing placement clothes, basically just don't wear short skirts, because often there's been people who have turned up to OSCEs in a short skirt and have been asked to leave. So make sure the skirt is like down to the knee, like a reasonable length. You can also wear like flowy trousers and a nice shirt or something, but again, just make sure you're bare below the elbow. Just think like respectable, and like if it was your grandma, what would she want to see like a young medical student in?
Yeah, you also get lanyards as well, so you have to bring those as well. It'll have like medical students on it and have your name. It's an NHS card. Basically tells everyone you're a medical student. So got that to look forward to.
These are all on, yeah, exactly. Those sessions where you get them sorted out are on your working week timetable. That's a general timetable and will be out soon. So we've got a number of questions just about, mainly about placement and a few things just about exams, etc. Question about, can we wear trainers on placement? Wearing
No.
smart clothes?
No, it has to be smart shoes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, so no trainers, nothing like that. Yeah, make sure your shoes are nicely polished as well whenever you go on placement.
Like school shoes. I wore my school shoes during my first year and stuff, so something like that would suffice. So yeah, but no suede. Oh, this is nothing. No suede, because nothing that will stain. I think that's part of the rules. So make sure you don't wear shoes that could be cleaned easily. I think that's the rules. So
details, all the details about that will be on the MBBS handbook as well, which you can refer back to. A question about, when will secondary care begin? Now this changes for first years. It's changed since Haj and I have been doing it. We understand that you will have some secondary care in your sort of first semester, so be prepared to get all your stuff ready for going at it. It will vary with COVID as well. You can normally expect it towards the end of the semester, and sometimes the start of the next semester as well in first year. But you'll get sort of 2 main blocks of secondary care in your first year, so be ready for it. Is attendance monitored? So I wonder if this person wants to leave the chat, leave the webinar. So attendance, so all the lectures you have to go to. However, there's not normally, unless they're going to instate it, you don't have to register for it. But regardless, it's a professional course, so you have to sort of turn up.
There are some things that you do have to go to. So throughout the year, you'll have things like com skills, which is, it's an OSCE station, but it's also just a way of teaching you how to like interact with patients and how to gather like a accurate history from them. Yes, things like that you have to go to. They are registered. If you miss them, you do get in trouble. Anatomy as well, that's registered.
PBL's registered as well.
PBL's registered.
Although interestingly, there's a question on what if we can't go to a placement for a day, who do we have to inform? And that's a really good question, because there are days that you might be unwell or something, whether that's self-induced or not. So you'll get told this on your introductory welcome week lectures. There's an absence reporting system where you can make sure that your absence is okay and it gets okayed with the medical school. And if it's the same day absence, then that will be for like illness, for example. And it all gets put across at the end. It's really important, because this also goes throughout medical school when they look at that at the end when you're getting jobs for your foundation program. So, but don't worry, if you're not very well, you do get all the support as well if there's other reasons why you're absent from.
As Rory mentioned, this is a professional course. So just because you pass all your exams, it doesn't necessarily mean that you pass the medical MBBS. You have to be professional at all times and make sure that you're up to date with your professionalism. Don't be too silly with yourself. Attend things. Don't miss out on too many things, because more often than not, you can get into trouble. So something to keep an eye out on.
So it's also important to mention with absences. So when it comes to clinical absences, you're allowed 5 every year. If you take more than 5, you'll have to do clinical mediation, which basically means you have to lose part of your summer to like sort of catch up on placement that you've missed. But I wouldn't worry too much, because 5 absences is more than you think. And also they've now introduced this thing called half absences, where like instead of taking a whole day absence, you can just take off the first half of the day, or just like one singular session. And so that only counts as half an absence. So technically you have 10 half absences and then 5 full-day absences. But yeah, just make sure you report them. Make sure also that you do it before like 9 o'clock. Make sure you get it in as early as possible. And yeah, then you won't get into trouble at all.
Yeah. There are a few more questions. We promise we will answer these at the end. We promise. These are some very good questions, very interesting questions. We will answer these at the end. We're just going to talk a bit about Norwich as a city, and then we're going to answer a few more of these questions. Okay, so Norwich. Oh, crikey. Yeah. Norwich is a city then. So UEA is not actually within the city. It's not a city uni. It's a campus uni. So the University of East Anglia is is not far, but it's not within the city centre. So to get to the city centre, there's a couple of ways you have to get in. So first of all, there's a bus that runs every 7 minutes from the congregation hall that Alex mentioned, and it's a first bus, and it's the number 25 or 26, and that takes around 15 minutes to get there. And it's around £3.80 for a return ticket, from the best of my knowledge. But I haven't been on a bus in a while, because another thing you can go on is a bike. You can actually cycle there, and there's plenty of bike blocks and stuff, and it's completely free. So why not? So cycling is a very viable option. It only takes 15 minutes. There's also a new scheme introduced this year. It's quite new to us as well. It's called Beryl Bikes. So you guys might know things like ride sharing in like other European cities. There's like Boris bikes in London, like scooters, that kind of stuff. So Beryl Bikes are something new that's introduced this year in Norwich, and something you can obviously dabble in. There's also taxis. So there's no Uber, which isn't the end of the world. People think, oh my god, Uber's so good. It is, but you don't. ABC taxis and courtesy taxis are the main companies, and they're actually very reliable. So look into them in more detail. Save the number on your phone. They have a website and everything, and it's usually around £8 to £9 to get to the city centre from campus, and obviously you can share that with 4 other of your friends. So that's what, £2 to get there, which is not expensive at all. So yeah, that's another option that you can do to get around, not just the campus, but other places as well if you need to. So sorry, to the city centre. There's other places you can go to, obviously. And yeah, and there's also train links. There's a Norwich station in the city centre that takes you to Liverpool Street, London, in around 2 hours. It also goes via Stratford. And that takes less than 2 hours. It's only about 1 hour and 45, I think, to Stratford. So it's very close to London. There's also an airport, which is only around 50 minutes on a taxi or a car. And that takes you to most European cities. So yeah, there's a lot of transport links in London, in Norwich, sorry. So don't be disheartened. There is, you can get around very easily.
Just to pop up quickly, just to say, because I know there's some concerns about the timing of this, we had intended to go until about 8:30. Of course, we're going to go a bit longer because there's more questions. If you need to go, don't worry about going. This will be recorded, like we've said. But if you're free, we do recommend sticking around because we've still got a little bit more to talk to. So we might be going on to about 9. But I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rory. Yeah, Alex can talk a bit more about the actual city centre itself. There's plenty of things to do.
Yeah, so Norwich is a very beautiful city. It's very medieval, very cosy kind of vibe to it all. On this picture on the sort of top left, you can see the market square. It's the biggest permanent open market in all of Europe, I believe. So yeah, and it's a great place to go. There's loads of such a wide variety of different things you can get there. You can get like Halloween costumes, you can get fresh fish, you can get really nice smoothies. You name it, you can find it there. Yeah, as you can see on the slide, it's one of the top 10 safest places to be a student. Yeah, it's also just one of the safest cities in the UK in general. So in terms of what you can eat and drink around Norwich, there's so many. Like, if you think of a variety of cuisine, you'll find it, don't worry. So like there's loads of places catering to loads of different kind of palates and diets. Like there's loads of like vegan places, there's vegetarian places. Yeah, so just make sure that you go and visit a lot of them. I've been here for quite a while now, and there's still so many restaurants I've got to go to. Yeah, don't be afraid to venture out.
So many places to eat. So many places to eat. There's also bars as well and cocktails. That's your kind of thing. Norwich is renowned for its pubs as well. So there used to be 365 pubs in Norwich for each day of the week, each day of the year. So that's an interesting fact. There's not 365 anymore, but there are plenty. There's 3 Wetherspoons. So there's the Bell Hotel, the Glass House, and the Queen of Iceni, which are sort of dotted around Norwich city centre. You'll sort of know which one to go to based on the things that are around it. There's plenty of other things as well. There's plenty of other pubs. There's a Murderers, there's a St Andrew's Brew House, there's a Brewdog, there's a Pear Tree Inn. you name it, there's a pub for everything pretty much. So don't worry, pubs are great. And obviously there's also the SU bar as well back on campus. But yeah, plenty of things to do in Norwich. That was a very brief overview. If you have any questions, just pop them in the Q&A and we might be able to answer it. Awesome. Yeah, we're going to now briefly move on to the clubs and the sports societies and other societies, and Dylan and Tess are going to break that down for you.
That's good. So societies, sports clubs, obviously in the UEA, as it says, there's more than 250 clubs and societies that you can join, which is a huge number. You have, loads of choice, and it ranges all the way from like UEA rugby and hockey to what was the one that you mentioned, Tess?
Hummus Society.
Hummus Society. That's how much it ranges to. And the virtual fair for those main ones would be on the 21st to the 25th of September, and you'll be able to kind of see those a bit better and have a better idea. But then also we have societies within medicine. So things like room and ortho, like Haj and Alex had mentioned, you'll be doing that in first year quite a bit. And they're a society that will kind of provide a bit of help and mock OSCEs to help you kind of understand topics a bit better and how to deal with certain situations. So they're definitely ones that are worth looking into. And then for years above, they have those as well based off of their own modules like cardio society and respiratory society. So as you get older, they kind of keep up with you. But then also there's sports societies as well, if you want to talk a little bit about that, Tess.
Yeah, so basically, obviously, we mentioned the sports night that you're going to have on the Wednesday, like after you guys come. So that's a chance to, try out sports society that you might want to join. Like if you have an inkling that you might want to join hockey, then you can go to their training session. Normally they provide dominoes and like make it lighthearted. Obviously, they're planning that. We're not really involved in that. So get in touch with their Instagram and stuff if you want to find out more. I'm sure they'll advertise it closer to the time. But as we said, also, like sports societies is not all about sport. Like obviously it's really good if you really enjoy the sport, but especially hockey I know is renowned for its socials and less for the training, and Dylan can vouch for that as he is part of hockey. But yeah, and also the reason why we all join medic sports teams instead of like UEA football or something is because they work around our timetable, and their training is normally on a Wednesday afternoon, because obviously that coincides with, so you have anatomy in the morning and then you have the sports training in the afternoon. And they also, they just revolve around the timetable, so it's a lot easier and a lot less stressful. But obviously that does not stop you from joining anything like cheerleading or UEA football if you like want to take it further. But yeah, I would really, really recommend joining like any society and any sports club, even if you're not that great at it.
As well, these sports clubs often do hold like revision classes and sessions, the medic ones, to kind of help you as well. So it's always worthwhile taking a peek into them because they all know what you've been going through and they'll be able to help themselves.
Okay, another break for questions now.
Ooh, so we're in the final stretch, final furlong. So
is it worth answering the Instagram questions now as well?
No, we'll go on to later, but there's just a couple regarding this. I think it's good to separate it. So a question about, does each med sport team and society have its own membership fee? Dylan and Tess?
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, so hockey, for example, is £50 for the medic ones, and then the UEA clubs are a bit more expensive, I think, because you have to pay for the
you have to get, so it works in a different way. They're separate from this. You don't have to have all this normal £50 SAM payment as well as extras like the university. They work separately. And also MedSoc is going to subsidise it for this year, so we're going to give you some money off your fees if you're going to join.
All first years, all new members, MedSoc members, get £10 off any sports society, one sports society that they want to join. So that's another very good incentive for you guys to join.
I think we'll move on to the rest, if that's okay with you chaps. Chat lessons.
Yeah. So we just want to briefly talk about the MedSoc membership. We did mention a bit about what we do right at the beginning, but it is something that we highly endorse, and it's one of those things that we really recommend you get. So just to break it down, there's plenty of things that we do for pretty much all socials, all charity events, all educational events, and any MedSoc members get discounts or completely free, and any non-members would have to pay a premium or pay an extra price for any of these events. In terms of education, as we mentioned, I'm sure you get the gist. There's plenty of revision materials, plenty of notes, quizzes, all this stuff that get handed down, and MedSoc members get exclusive access to all of these things. That's just to scratch the surface. We're going to also host lots of revision events for you guys, especially over Zoom or in person, depending on what the guidelines say. In terms of charity and social events, we host plenty of those. And once again, you get discounts for all of those events if you decide to come along as a MedSoc member. You get support as well. You can also get £20 conference bursary, which is one of those things that we highly like to talk about a lot. It's basically, if you want to go to a conference, we can give you £20 every year for a conference. So that over the 5 years adds up to £100. So we can give you up to £100 for conferences that you want to attend. That can be in London, in Norwich, it doesn't really matter, we'll pay for it, but up to £20.
Yeah, we also have a scheme called the hardship grant. So if you find that you're struggling to afford things like textbooks or stethoscopes or things like that. By the way, we know that a lot of people are asking about stethoscopes and whether you need to get them. The answer is no, not for first year. But we'll talk about that, I think, in our final QA a bit more in detail. But yeah, if you're struggling to buy sort of mainly textbooks and equipment that you might need, then we offer £100. You don't have to be a MedSoc member to claim it. You just have to fill out this form that's available on our website and send it in to our email, and we'll review it, and then we can grant £100.
We also support pretty much every single medical society in the UEA with financial and pastoral support. And we support you guys individually as well, because we are very close to the medical school. So if you have any queries or problems with the medical school, we're there as like the middleman to relay those queries to the medical school and the higher bodies. And yeah, we are the largest society at UEA, so that's something to be very proud about. So do give us and we were also voted Society of the Year last year for pretty much everything we've done.
I'm just going to jump in, Haj. Your spiels work quite well. People are asking how they get the membership.
Okay, that's a very good question. So the membership is currently available on the UEA SU website. However, we're going to put out some more concrete instructions on how to do so closer to the start of term. Usually what happens is people meet in the Hive. So we set up our own stall in the Hive where you can simply turn up and buy the membership there and then, and it's really easy. But because of COVID, we're going to have to we've been trying to figure out a way to do it, and the SU have only recently told us we can't really do anything in the Hive. So we'll let you guys know how to buy it. But at the moment, the membership is available on the UEA.su website. It's £50 for the entirety of 5 years. So that works out to just £10 a year or around 80p a month. So it really isn't much. So do grab your membership whenever you can, basically.
Yeah. Just also to mention that in order to buy a membership, you have to go through the SU website to purchase it. And to do that, you need an account. I don't know if you've been given any kind of emails about setting up your UEA account, but you will do very soon if you haven't. And then you just sign in using those details on the SU website. And then if you just type in MedSoc in the search bar, then you'll find it. And then you just have the option to purchase it right there. And then,
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Okay, right.
We've got to this bit, and most of them have been answered. I've got a few really good questions that I've just sort of kept, and sorry I haven't been able to slip them in earlier. We had that question, the first one. We'll answer James's question about, do you know much about the UK MLA? So yeah, the medical licensing assessment. So if it's all right, I'll just answer this.
You go ahead.
So the UK MLA will be a new test which will come in a few years' time, and you will be sitting this test at the end of your medical school sort of career aspect. At the moment, how it works is medical schools can't be really compared to each other. It's a pass-fail degree, and our exams are partly made by the GMC and partly made by the university. So therefore, at the moment, there's not that comparability, and it also means that medical schools can focus on different things. However, when this exam comes into place, it'll be a standardized test, which won't change massively. You'll have two parts. You'll have your clinical tests and your written tests. But you don't need to worry about this as a first year yet. Don't worry, this will all get explained as you go through. And you're, yeah, lovely. Hopefully that answers your question. So we got another question. So can you discuss the jobs on campus, if they're useful, worth it, especially?
Okay, yeah, that's great. There are plenty of jobs that you can get on campus, not in your first year, but you apply in your first year to get them in your second year. So you can work at the bar, as we talked about. You can work at the coffee shops. You can work as LCR staff. That's definitely not an exhaustive list. You can also work as a first aider, which is very interesting because obviously we're based in healthcare, and that's another thing that you can do for UEA sport. And yeah, those are just a couple of things that you can apply for during your first year.
There is a couple of things you can be in first year as well. You can be an accommodation rep. I don't know how much that'll be relevant this year in terms of COVID and things like that, but I was one this year, and you basically just show people around your flat and convince them to choose it if they come, and that pays pretty well.
There's also like the student ambassador scheme. Again, not really, I don't think it's really available to first years, but you can join in second year. It's quite competitive. Only like a handful of medics get it, but if you do, yeah, you basically like get sent around different schools across Norfolk, where you can like basically talk about medicine at schools and like why they should get involved, what you get up to, stuff like that. It pays very well, and you can like sign up for slots for when you're available. It works very much around your study time, so yeah, it's a good thing to do.
We've got another question about our lectures are recorded, and where do we find these?
Lectures, I'm afraid, are not recorded. But
I'd have to.
Yeah.
It depends. So typically, any lecture that happens in person is not recorded. However, with COVID happening, so we've had quite a lot of online lectures over the past few months. A lot of these have been recorded and posted on Blackboard. And we wish we could show you how Blackboard is arranged and stuff, but it's very simple. Like, you'll have your page for your year, so like year one, and on this page you'll scroll down a little bit and you'll find like each week separated into their own like specialized categories, and if you click on these, then you'll find the lectures for that week. And if recordings are done, which I hope they are for the sort of online lectures, then you'll find them there on the Blackboard website. But yeah, anything that's in person, it's not really recorded. It hasn't been in the past. It could change this year, but we doubt it. They don't really have the equipment to do so.
It's an incentive to actually turn up to the lecture as well. So yeah.
So another question about what happens if you fail an exam or assignment. Now this is, don't worry about this stuff just yet. You've got a bit of time, although it be virtual stuff, to enjoy yourself and enjoy the process of going into university. But regardless, we know that this is like a big question that people have. As we say, it's a pass-fail exam. You'll have a pass-fail degree, but you have formative sort of tests at the start where you can get used to the exam process, which don't count towards anything.
Formative basically means like mark. So you just sort of do it, and then it doesn't, whether you pass or fail, it doesn't count towards the overall degree. Whereas summative is a word that you hear often, which basically means it counts towards something.
There are, this links with another question about what counts towards our overall degree. It gets very complicated, and don't worry, you'll learn this sort of over the years. You don't need to know it just yet. We have a big test called an SJT, which is like situational judgment, which you probably did in your UK CAT or whatever UCAT. It's a similar thing that counts half of our degree will be on this test. We have other tests like prescribing tests and deciles. So it gets complicated. There's no point of explaining the details of that. We can do that at a later date. But what you need to know is there are summative things in year one. So year one does count towards your degree. So it's not one
mainly
of those
written,
stops.
mainly the written exams and the OSCEs that we keep on going on about, which are the main things you need to focus on. But the summative ones are in June. So as Rory said, that's a long way away. It's not something that you need to focus on during your first few weeks here at all.
And first year counts the least out of any of the years.
Yeah,
by quite a
I
bit.
believe it's around 10% for the overall degree. So it's not something that, I mean, yeah, obviously we do work, but don't be stressed out about how much it counts towards the overall.
Just think of it as if the SJT counts for 50%, And technically, first year only counts for 5% of the overall picture, so it's not too much.
Yeah, the details of it and how much deciles actually add in are something that you can go over sort of later, but really don't worry. Question is, how do you collect post?
Okay, this is another thing. You have to deliver. There's instructions on eVision and on the emails. Hopefully that'll be circulated. You can't deliver it just. So what you do is you type in the address of your flat, and the details of how to do that will be on eVision. But once you do that, so you type it. For example, I lived in the Ziggurats in first year. I'd have to type in University of East Anglia, NR4 7TJ, and then write the name of the accommodation I was in and the flat number and the room number. Does that make sense? So you write it all in, but the exact details will be given in an email or an eVision. Once you do that and you know the post has arrived, you go to somewhere called the post room, which is just off the square. It's one of those small rooms that you'll know where it is once you go there once. And then you go there, make sure you have your campus card. And what you do is you scan your campus card. So they'll tell you to go up, scan your campus card, and then the people there will find the post related to your campus card, because your campus card will have the accommodation details in it. So then the people in the post room will find the package and give it to you. So that's how you do it. Awesome.
We've got a number of questions about the sports park still, about £10 membership for sports park, and what does it mean and what does people talk about? Now, I'm not too sure about that. I reckon if you've got detailed questions about the sports park, then do feel free to have a look at their website, and they'll give you a really good overview. Swimming lessons. Is everything all right? Is Alex and Haj? Can people still hear? Put in the chat.
Just practice over the first year. That's the thing I'd recommend.
Yeah. I'll just say, like, give you an example, like how I take notes. So, like, I have an iPad over here with a cheeky little Apple Pencil. So, like, I record all my notes handwritten. During the lectures themselves on my iPad, I use an app called like Notability. I also sometimes record them, like just the pictures. But I don't like actually rip out my camera and like record the whole thing, but like I'll record the what's being said and stuff. And Notability is quite a good app because it like tells you what you were writing at the point that this specific thing was said. But yeah, then once I've done that, like I'll sort of write them up more professionally, like on my computer, have it like all typed up, make it all nice, and make sure that everything's in one place. And then from that, like I'll sort of do like flashcards and stuff to like revise and learn all the content.
Yeah.
Also, Microsoft OneNote is really good because with your uni email, you get Microsoft Word and everything for free, like all of the proper like premium things you can pay for. OneNote is really, really good because your notes are all automatically saved on there. Like I think lots of people use OneNote.
Yeah. On our big medicine folder, there'll be notes that have been taken by now doctors. So they'll be the format of that they use might be useful for when you're revising as well. But yeah, revision is something that I think, in summary, you just need to sort of get used to. You won't just nail it the first week you get here. You sort of have to experiment around with different techniques, and eventually you sort of get a technique that you like, and that works for you. And then from there, that's how you sort of revise it for the next 5 years. There's a couple more questions. Will there be other specific study spaces? Now, the library isn't open 24/7. Now, yeah, there's obviously a room, but in terms of actually being on campus, it's a lot more stricter. So you'd have to sort of book out different rooms, not just necessarily in the library, but you have to book up spaces in the medical school, for example. That's all done through eVision as well. So something to keep your eyes out for. Anything else, Rory? Or have they all been to?
There's one about swimming lessons. Basically, you can get a gym membership for £300 a year, and you get access to the pool as well as the gym. And you don't have to go. You can go whenever, even in the peak times.
There's also UEA swimming as well. I don't think there's medic swimming, but there's UEA.
Yeah, the swimming lessons aren't included in the gym membership price.
Okay.
I think we've got a final thing just about, and I've mentioned about people to look in the handbook. We've got a meeting, more meetings coming up with the medical school and the course director. We can discuss all this when we find the places that we've referenced in today's talk. We'll make sure to make it clear on our social media, so do follow all our social media. You have time for 12 minutes.
Just a question that I've also been finding get quite commonly is capsule, or do you use just sort of liquids in the laundry machines? Always use capsules because they don't accept anything else.
No liquid stuff. Always use your tablets.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we'll call it there if that's okay. Any more questions, then people are welcome to contact us on our social media or on the chats, although I know that's predominantly a fresher chat, so we hope to try and leave it up to you.
Sorry, one last thing, please fill out your Med Family forms if you haven't already, please.
Definitely. So I think if it's okay, we'll probably leave it there. Like we said, this should all be recorded. I'm going to stop the recording now.